I would do RFK Jr. way before her.
Yeah.
I don't think America's ready. I don't think America's ready for a female president.
Welcome back to the Conservative Core, where our goal is to shine a light on the ridiculousness of the left. So the other day, MSNBC held a focus group, and this definitely did not go as they planned. Despite what you might be seeing in the media about how Kamala Harris is doing amazing, the truth is many people see through the BS. The truth is that many swing state voters and black people are starting to see things differently. In places like Wisconsin, voters are not holding back. They're openly sharing their thoughts on the current political climate.
How do you perceive Vice President Harris compared to President Biden in terms of competency and experience?
I think she's worse. She doesn't even know what's going on at the border.
Right.
And that's what she was supposed to be doing and in charge of. I mean, as a school teacher, if I did not do what I was supposed to be doing, you better believe my job would be in jeopardy. Well, it isn't. It not only was her job not in jeopardy, she was just handed a promotion.
Is there anyone that Kamala Harris could appoint as her vice president that you would find reassuring, would make you consider voting for her?
No.
Never considered voting for her. No.
I would do RFK Jr. way before her.
Yeah,
Same.
absolutely.
Yeah. And she's not the first woman to run for the presidency, Hillary Clinton. I'm assuming no one voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. So it's not necessarily going to sway you to vote for a woman in office. When do you think America will have a female president?
When there's a competent one.
I don't get a good feel for her.
I think she's an idiot.
Right.
Mary, why do you think that she's not that bright?
Because she hasn't done anything in the time that she's had. We don't know anything about her as far as her 3 years so far in the White House. She's not real smart.
Elise Jordan's inquiry into Harris's performance compared to President Biden reveals a stark dissatisfaction. The consensus among these voters is that Harris is perceived as less competent, with one participant pointing out her failures at managing the border crisis, a responsibility she was specifically assigned. We're going to really dig into the border issues here later on, but this sentiment reflects a broader issue with Harris's image. The focus group's criticism is not just about her policies, but about her overall effectiveness and presence. They expressed a clear preference for other candidates over Harris, with RFK Jr. even being mentioned as a more favorable option. This isn't just a critique of her performance, it's an indictment of her leadership qualities and her ability to inspire confidence. But they also didn't hold back and slammed Kamala Harris for covering up Biden's cognitive decline, because obviously she was there with him daily and saw him for how he really was. Now, we all knew how Joe really was, but people got to see it live on the debate stage last month. People were really woken up to how he really is and was. And the more people that wake up to this, the more people who will finally leave the Democratic Party for good. And we Republicans have been saying this for years about Biden's mental decline. Back in 2020, we were saying this, but it really must make people think, like, what else are Republicans right about?
Who do you blame for President Biden being in office in this condition? Who deserves the blame?
His close staff. They work with him every day.
So I think that's what also makes me nervous about the Vice President Harris.
Talk about that a bit.
So yes, she's going to be in it, but she also helped keep him in where he's at right now. And if he really is as bad as what they've been saying, I think if he steps down as president and she steps into the presidency before the end of his term, it almost makes me question a little bit more why it didn't happen sooner. She's worked with him. She's been, to my understanding, with him daily, or at least a couple of days a week. Why hasn't this been brought to attention? If she's willing to hide that type of information once she's in office, now what she's willing to hide for herself.
Harris kept saying that Biden was fine and there were no issues with him or anything, but we know this is far from the truth. The truth is Kamala Harris is a lower quality candidate than Sleepy Joe. Even though Joe couldn't speak without a teleprompter, people viewed him as strong and capable of leading the country until they saw him fall apart during the debate. But people all across the country are also seeing that Kamala is not a strong candidate. In fact, many black voters are starting to see through the BS of the Democrats. Just take a listen.
You already know. I don't think America's ready. I don't think America's ready for a female president. You know what? I'm a black man, and I absolutely do not want another Democratic president in there. I think we should give the Republicans another try. There's a lot of agendas that the Democratic Party has kind of put into place that I don't support. I think they're destroying the black man. They're destroying the black family. I think they're ruining our country. And if you're living in New York like I am, man, this place is a financial nightmare. not to mention crime. I think if we put Trump back in there, man, it's going to be amazing. Kamala cannot do what he's going to do to bring this country back to where it needs to be. And this is not a race thing, because that's the number one thing they like to say when they talk about Trump and how he's a criminal and blah, 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 blah. I don't think any of that matters. His policies are what we need to focus on, and he's going to get us back where we need to go. Kamala is not ready.
I think he was spot on there. It's clear from recent experiences that the Democratic Party's policies haven't effectively addressed key issues facing our communities. In New York, for instance, we're seeing rising crime rates and a financial disaster under the current leadership. I mean, the other day there was a report that APE was up 11% in NYC as bail reform, vulnerable migrants, and depleted NYPD create a perfect crime storm. This situation highlights the failure of Democratic policies to deliver tangible improvements. It's evident that their approach isn't working, and I agree with the perspective that we need to consider a different direction. People are starting to wake up and see that it's time to give Trump another go. Despite the controversy surrounding Trump, his policies offer a different approach that might address the issues more effectively. And we saw this firsthand when he was found guilty a few months ago. His poll numbers skyrocketed after that. There is a strong likelihood that black voters will reject Kamala Harris in the upcoming elections. In fact, early polling numbers are showing this as well. I mean, just take a look at this. The choice for president among black voters shows Kamala Harris at 76% and Donald Trump at 21%. To put this into perspective, back in 2020, Trump only got 12%. But there's another clip I want to share with you guys and break down. Let's run the clip.
What's your thoughts, Mama?
Okay, so first let me say I'm so happy to see a woman brought up for president, and I'm grateful for that. However, does that mean I was on the fence even with Biden running again? Because everyone talks about, oh, let's get the black vote, let's get the black vote, and they get the black vote and nothing changes. And when I say nothing, I mean our education system. Our children are suffering in New York City public schools. And let's talk about services. My brother's paraplegic. He got hit by a drunken driver. It's very hard for him to get services. And I understand that they allow the migrants to come in, but they come in and they just overwhelm them with services. And they forget about the people that are already here. So what's going to change with that? What are they going to do with the black agenda to help our children that's struggling in New York City public schools? They're not even on the same level as other kids in other countries. And that's what my concern is. So is something going to change because Kamala's running instead of Biden? Like, help me out. We're confused here.
Well, those are all valid questions. A lot of those things you named are local issues, though.
All right, so Charlemagne is wrong. Illegal immigration is not a local issue. It starts at the federal level with policies that allow illegal aliens into the country. The federal government permits their entry, and then states like New York become sanctuary cities, accommodating these individuals. That is where the issue really stems from. You see, Democrats allowed them to come in with their open border policies. On the other hand, Republicans would address illegal immigration with a focus on stricter enforcement and policy changes, which would greatly reduce the number here. And we all know where Trump stands here. The situation also raises concerns about increased crime rates. I mean, you can take a look. This Louisiana mom just lost her daughter to a drunk driver from Honduras who's now on an immigration hold.
I don't want them to just be on a billboard, you know, oh, look, a drunk driver. They were somebody. They were so important to so many people, and anybody that knew either one of them or that was in their lives knows how hard they loved and how they were there for anybody they cared about.
Two Southeast Louisiana families are grieving tonight after their children were killed in a car accident.
According to state police, the driver who hit them was underage and had a blood alcohol level nearly 7 times the legal limit.
And there are dozens of stories like this from Lake and Riley to so many more. People just going about their day to losing their lives. And it's all happening because of open border policies that Kamala Harris supports.
Must be addressed.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Yep, you heard that right. She wants to steal your tax money to give free healthcare to illegals. But the worst part of it all is she was put in charge of the border in 2021. As vice president, Harris was tasked with addressing the challenges at the United States and Mexico border. Despite her appointment to manage the situation, she has been notably absent from the front lines of the crisis, failing to take concrete steps to slow down the issue. And I'm going to show you video proof here because what I'm going to share next is actually ridiculous.
I asked her, the VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks stemming the migration to our...
Now here are the stats. Under Harris's oversight, illegal immigration has surged, with record numbers crossing the border. The United States southern border has witnessed a record of at least 6.3 million migrant encounters. This is at and between ports of entry since Biden took office in 2021. This is data from the Office of Homeland Security Statistics, resulting in more than 2.4 million migrants allowed into the country. The Democrats' policies on the border are a joke, and the buck stops at Harris.
This is the kind of thing that is playing out all over conservative media. I just want to do a little bit of record correcting. There's not record crime right now. Number one, Harris was put in charge, as you said earlier, of combating the roots of immigration. She was not and is not the border czar.
And the Biden administration did task Vice President Kamala Harris with the issue of migrant crossings, naming her the so-called border czar.
The media just lies straight to our faces, and the sad thing is, many people will fall for it. That's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching. And make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like this video for more conservative news daily. See you in the next one.